Hello, very different video to all the other videos on this channel so far, but as you can tell, I haven't posted in a long time on this channel, and that's because I didn't really want to spend the time scripting and editing videos when I've got a lot of other things I want to do in life, honestly. So you guys can let me know if this video sucks or is any good. But I wanted to talk about gratitude because I've been told, and I believe it as well, that I am very grateful, especially compared to the average person. And I think, in my opinion, being grateful is a really good thing, and it leads to a lot of happiness. And for me, happiness has kind of always been the number one priority for my life, just because I think that's cool. And there's been a lot of scientific studies actually that have proven that being grateful helps out a ton with overall happiness. And that's kind of all the information I think you need to be like, oh, gratefulness leads to happiness. So we're not going to talk about that anymore. I kind of wanted to talk about a lot more about what my kind of mindset is to be grateful and how I actually feel like I am so grateful. And maybe it can help you guys out. Maybe it won't. If not, I do apologize. But I think we do have just a lot to be grateful for, such as being alive. I'm sure everyone watching this is alive right now. Maybe, unfortunately, have a week to live. Maybe you've got cancer or something and you're about to die. But at least you're alive right now. And in a weird way, we're kind of all in that similar boat where we're kind of just sitting around and we're gonna die pretty soon, compared to how long the universe and everything has been around. And I think that's really important to remember, because in a weird way, we're in like an echo chamber being surrounded by other people who are all alive, and you wake up and you constantly are alive, so you kind of forget. But if you kind of just logically look at it, like you've been dead for most of the time. I've been dead for most of the time. That's how I kind of think about it, where I believe in the whole thing that the universe has been around for however 100 million, billion, whatever years. And if that's true, then yeah, I've kind of just been dead all this time. I'm alive right now for a little bit, maybe 80 years on average, and then you're dead again. So it's like a crazy miracle freak thing that you even are just alive. And I think that's really important to remember. I think one of the things is like expectation. I think I've heard this quote actually from Elon Musk. I don't know if he made it up or where he got it from, but expectation minus reality is happiness. And so even as simple as that, if you expected every night, like sometimes I go to bed thinking like, man, maybe I would just die tonight. Because who knows what the chances are that I'm alive tomorrow. And then you wake up and you're like, oh God, we're at it again, baby. And I think that's really true actually, that let's just say you're expecting something. You're expecting that your mum is just coming over. And she comes over and she has $1 million for you. You're like, whoa, I didn't expect that. That's awesome. But now you expect, like, let's say it actually works with birthday presents. Every year you get presents, right? And you're like, wow, I got presents. What if suddenly it's your birthday and nobody brings you any presents? You're probably like, damn, that sucks. Even though every other day you also don't get presents, because it's like you expected something and it wasn't there. So having your expectations as low as possible, I think is actually really helpful. And that's not to say like don't try and achieve anything, but just expect that, you know what, maybe it'll fail, and just be ready for that. And then everything else kind of comes as an awesome surprise, in my opinion. And this is where I think kind of a really big one is comparison. And people don't understand how crazy comparison is. And I think I understand it pretty well, and it helps me out a lot. Because I don't have the best car in the world, right? Nissan Pulsar 2013. I actually think it's the perfect car, so it might be a bad example, but look, I'm not a millionaire is what I'm trying to say. And if I'm like, oh man, I don't know, shoes aren't that cool, my car sucks, whatever it is, it's like, maybe you can be sad about that and ungrateful, and then that's going to lead to unhappiness. But if you actually think about it, this is what I think about a lot. If this was just 200 years ago, or even let's go further, it's medieval times, and I've got my same car and my same shoes and my same phone, I'm like an unfathomable trillionaire. Because this stuff wasn't even invented yet. It's not even possible with the technology at the time that this stuff is invented. So if someone living in that time had the stuff that I have now, today, they would be like the happiest person in the entire world. And everyone would be like, wow, you're so lucky. This is crazy. And all that is, the only difference is comparison to what's around you. That's the only difference between those things that I can think of. Maybe someone can correct me in the comments if I'm kind of wrong about this whole concept, but I like to think about that a lot. Like even like your couch is probably an impossibly comfortable couch or bed if it was the year 0 BC. You know what I mean? And it's all comparison. So logically, even if you have a quote unquote bad car and you shouldn't be happy about that, actually, I think you should be if you kind of think about everything as a baseline of nothing and humans have just started inventing stuff. And I guess this kind of feeds into the same thing of when people are like, grandparents had it so easy because the houses were cheaper. And even though that's like legitimately true, for me anyway, if I had to choose any time in all of the history of the entire world to be alive, I would choose now. I really think the internet is cool. I think having YouTube is cool. I think having healthcare is cool. I think flights being cheaper. Like I know a lot of people now who are just in their 20s and they like travel because planes exist now is cool. So yeah, even though some things maybe were better at other times, for me personally, if I had to press a button to just choose what era to live in, I would choose now. So having that as a baseline and just knowing that as a fact for myself really helps me. But maybe some of you would have been like, man, I actually genuinely think I would have been better off living in the 1100s and being a farmer and dying at 40 from some fungal disease. So if that's true, then maybe just try not to focus on that, I guess. Because focusing on stuff in general, this is kind of going off topic now from the whole gratitude thing, but focusing on things that aren't in your control and are making you unhappy, there's nothing you can do about them, and it's making you unhappy. So try to just move your brain to another place, because the longer it's stuck there, the longer you're screwed, honestly. Oh, I forgot to mention one thing that kind of relates to this. I'm in my car now, my perfect car actually. But okay, let's say genuinely you would have rather been born in the 1950s and instead you're born in the 2000s. That's so specific. Like, oh man, you got second best. You know what I mean? Greedy guts over here. What about, okay, so 1900s would have been worse than both. 1850s, nah, not that. 1800s, 1750s, 1700s, 1650. Like, humans have been around for, I don't even know how long. Let's just say 100,000 years, right? And there's so many, like, 50-year lifespans that you could have chosen all the way. There's probably like, I can't do the maths in my head. There's like 20,000 different lifespans you could have chosen. It's probably much more than that. And you got second out of the 20,000. I'll take it. So this is like a weird, almost meditation I kind of do, or thing I like to think about, where maybe like you just close your eyes and you just like, sounds so stupid, like, but you just imagine you just have nothing and maybe you're about to die. and you're just a head rolling around, all your body parts have been like cut off, and it's just terrible. And you open your eyes and you're like, wow, dude, this is awesome. Look at this, there's cars, there's houses, we've got phones, and so that's kind of that whole expectation reality thing. And as stupid as that sounds, I think hopefully I kind of explained how it logically kind of works out. And I think just consistency is the key, and understanding that your brain is like a habit machine. This is the last thing I'm going to talk about. I think this is also extremely important to know, that your brain is just like it autopilots so much. I don't know if any of you have like moved house and your cutlery used to be on the left and now it's on the right, and your brain just like automatically goes to the left, and you're like, oh wow, I didn't even know that my brain knew that it used to be to the left and now it's to the right, so I got confused. Or you're driving and you go the wrong way. Anyways, not important. What is important is to just know that your brain is a bunch of habits, and automatically how we're wired is to be ungrateful. That's the natural habit, because you're better off being a human that focuses on everything that's wrong. Because let's say you're in a jungle, there's like primitive times, you're in a jungle, you got your little wood house, you got your water, that's all good, but there's a tiger as well that's about to eat everyone. It's important for your brain to focus on the negative, which is the tiger, because otherwise you're going to die. And that's how our brains have been designed, to focus on the negative, or focus on what can we do better. That's just how it's designed. But I think nowadays, with what society's like now, it's pretty good, and you don't really need to focus on the negative, because the negatives aren't as big of a deal as they used to be back in the day for most things. And so, in my opinion, training your brain to have the opposite habit of always focusing on the positive, whether you just do that mentally in your head, whether you have a little gratitude journal, whether you listen to videos of people talk about how they're grateful, or even the opposite, listening to people talk about how they were at war and they were captured and tortured and that you should be grateful. I think all that kind of stuff kind of helps you form the habit of being positive. Anyways, that's kind of how I like to think about life. Maybe that's helpful, maybe it's not.